In today's video, we are going to go over a ton of different squat variations. Now, I know recently, probably a couple of months ago, I did a video on how to master kind of a basic squat. Well, this video is going to kind of build on that. Once you can master kind of like a basic squat, why on earth would you see all these variations that you see online? Well, the main reason is because with every variation, it kind of targets a different grouping of muscles. So what I hope to accomplish in this video is to kind of break these down into categories as far as what squat will focus on what combinations of muscle groups, and additionally, what type of squat variations are best to work on for specific movement goals, such as being able to walk better or go upstairs, things like that. We're going to break it down, go through each different type of squat and kind of give a rationale so that you can decide whether or not it's the type of squat variation that you might want to incorporate into your home exercise program. If you're new to this channel, I'm Tara. I'm a neurologic physical therapist, and on this channel we talk about anything and everything related to mobility, health, fitness, and mindset in the context of neurologic injury, with the end goal of empowering you with as many tools as possible to take ownership of your rehab and your health to live an overall more active, more mobile, pain-free, happier, healthier life. Before we dive into the exercises in today's video, there is a handout that goes along with today's video that has pictures of the exercises as well as descriptions of each of the exercises so that you don't need to keep coming back to watch this video to incorporate the specific exercises that will benefit you the most into your home exercise program. That exercise handout is available to our bronze members only. That membership program is just $5 a month. To learn more about becoming a member and to sign up, visit rehab-hq.com. And now let's go ahead and dive into today's exercises. All right, now we are going to start with the basic squat. So if you watched the squat masterclass, that's really the main squat that we focused on, is that nice hip hinge, sitting that bottom back, weight on your heels, and then coming back up. Now, the reason this is a very valuable squat is it really focuses on emphasizing those glutes or those muscles on the back side of your hips. So why is this important? If you're trying to go upstairs, getting up out of a chair, I like this hip hinge with that emphasis on kind of sitting that bottom backwards. Now, the variations to this squat are just lowering the depth. So the lower that you go, yes, you do need more strength in those glutes, but you start to incorporate more leg muscles. So that would be the harder variation, or the variation that you would want to do if you're trying to kind of get more bang for your buck and exercise a whole lot of muscles in your legs. The lower you go, more muscles you tap into. The other benefit of kind of just doing this basic squat, not holding on to anything and going as low as you can, is it really helps with the range of motion in all of the joints, which is usually very, very important for just efficiency with movement. The less stiff you are in your legs, the easier it is to kind of move your legs, the less heavy they feel. So that's another valuable component of just deepening that squat. So that's the first one. There's going to be other variations of that I show that will also work on range of motion. So if it seems like you're not going to be able to do a low squat holding on, stay tuned because we're going to do more variations that will also work on that range of motion. Now, the next variation of a squat is with a heel lift. Those of you that kind of follow a lot of fitness people on Instagram, you might see people do this variation. There's several reasons why you might choose this. One is it requires more range of motion in your ankles to be able to do a deep squat with your feet level. So for some people, you can go a little bit deeper with your heels a little bit elevated. Now, if you're someone that has spasticity, if you can do it without the lift, I do recommend that way because it does work on the range of motion in your ankles. So even if you can't go as far, For some people that I see in person, it all depends on the situation. I do recommend just staying on a flat surface and just not going as deep if someone's really limited with the range of motion, because we're trying to increase that range of motion. But if you wanted to be able to do a squat and keep that emphasis on your glutes and keep your balance, then you would might benefit from doing the heel lift. So if your feet are flat and you don't have range of motion in your ankles and you wanted to do a deeper squat, you're going to feel like you're falling backwards. That heel lift will help to just balance you out a little bit more, and then you can go a little bit deeper and then come back up. So that is variation number 2. All right, now this next squat we're going to do, you're just going to start with your legs wide and your toes turned out and squat down. Now, the benefit of doing this leg position is that you're really incorporating some of the muscles on the outsides of the hip just a little bit more. If you try and focus on keeping your knees turned out as you go down and come back up. The other thing it does is it's a really good stretch for your inner thighs, and it's a plane of motion that is necessary for balance, but is not something that we always work on. So being able to, support your body weight with your legs in this position is something that is beneficial. Let's say you're falling to the side, but is not something that we focus on. So incorporating this one, not only are you targeting more the outside muscles a little bit more in your hips, but also it's functional. So toes turned out, sit your bottom back just a little bit, just enough so that you can maintain your balance. Try and keep those knees turned out, down and back up. So trying to keep those knees out, down and back up. And again, that's if you want to target more of those muscles on the outsides of your hips. All right, now for this exercise, we are going to hold on. This is not my preferred variation if you're just getting into learning how to squat, especially after some kind of a neurologic injury. What I find is that if you are someone who has a tendency to use compensatory patterns, this is just kind of like training your brain to kind of use a compensatory pattern. And eventually, if you don't learn the correct way, it starts to impact being able to get out of a chair. So what I mean by that is I've talked about pulling up on stuff when you do sit to stand. Well, this is kind of like training your brain to learn how to pull on something to be able to go from sit to stand. I've talked about this in the videos that I've made on sit to stand, but you really want to be able to learn how to transition your weight forward when you go sit to stand. That's why I don't recommend this variation like in the very early stages of rehab. But once you can get up out of from a low chair pretty consistently, you don't have any issues with that, being able to hold on and pull up is a great way to deepen your squat and be able to really get the benefits of the range of motion that I talked about earlier, as well as just incorporating or utilizing a lot more muscles in your legs because you can go deeper. Okay, so you're just going to hold on, and you don't need something like this. You can hold on to a door frame as well, and you are going to go as low as you can, and then just don't be afraid to kind of use your arm to kind of pull your weight forward. So again, ideal for someone who already can get up out of a chair but really wants to incorporate more leg muscles and really get a good range of motion activity out of your squat. All right, next on the list is what I call kind of like a leg bias squat. This kind of has two purposes. One is by putting your non-working leg, so in this case this would be your involved leg, putting the non-working leg up on a step. It does kind of force you to use the muscles on the outside of the hip just a little bit more. But even more importantly than that, if you're someone who has a tendency to compensate and stand most of the time on your strong leg, this is a good variation that I like because it biases the involved leg. So it does just kind of force more weight onto your involved leg. Then you're going to squat and come back up. Now you will notice one thing, my hands are out in front of me. So with your arms out in front of you, if you're someone who has a tendency to fall backwards, that will help to kind of balance you. It kind of counterbalances the weight of your bottom by stretching your arms out in front of you. Now, with that said, this can probably be its own squat variation, but if moving your hands behind you with any of the squat variations that we go over today is a way to challenge your balance just a little bit more. So if you feel like you always need to have your hands out in front of you, occasionally, even if you can't go as low, just try hooking your hands behind you and see how low you can go as an additional challenge. That just kind of forces you to kind of lean your body weight forward a little bit more, and it works the muscles just a little bit differently. So one, it's just a good challenge to kind of throw you off balance a little bit, but two, it does kind of force you to shift your center of gravity a little bit, which does work the leg muscles just a little bit differently. So just a little side note, but if you are someone that has a tendency to lose your balance, just putting your hands out in front of you might be enough to prevent you from falling backwards. So again, body centered over the strong leg, using this leg, the working leg, your involved leg. All right, so now sticking with that theme of working more of the muscles on the outside of the hip, or in other words, kind of emphasizing the glutes working more closely with the muscles on the outside of the hip, we're just going to do a banded squat. So pushing your knees out into the band will tap into those muscles a little bit more on the outsides of your hip and kind of like train the glutes to play nice, or the muscles on the back side of the hip to play nice with the muscles that are more on the sides of the hips. So pushing out into that band squat, arms in front or behind, like we talked about earlier. Pushing those knees out as you squat down and come back up. All right, so this is what I call a tandem squat. This is probably one of my favorite squats to do with people kind of in the more neuro setting. So you don't see this squat variation very often, kind of more the fitness setting, but it works two things. It's functional because it forces more weight onto your back leg. So just like the squat with your foot up on a step, this kind of biases the back leg. So you want to put your involved leg in the back and either have your feet in a straight line or even a little bit staggered would be okay. That's one reason why this is good. Two is it does require more balance, which is definitely functional when your feet are in a narrower position. But then in addition to that, it does require a lot of ankle range of motion. So if you are someone where your foot is pointed all the time and it's very, very stiff, I do encourage people, even if you have to hold on, to try and do some squats every day with your feet in this position. Really stretches that ankle out, but it also does kind of force you to use more muscles in that involved leg or the leg that's in the back. So again, feet in a straight line. Squat as low as you can and come back up. Low as you can and back up. All right, and probably by far one of my most favorite squat variations in the neuro setting. Again, we're in a corner, so we're safe. Definitely don't do this at home unless you have really good balance, and definitely work with a therapist before you do it. But one of my favorite squat variations is on a Bosu ball because it really does keep you honest. Like, you know immediately if you're biasing one leg because you will tip off to one side. But also it does require you to really have your center of gravity directly over your feet as you're going down and coming back up, which means you are making fine adjustments on the way down and on the way back up, which is a very, very critical skill, being able to adjust your body position when you're in motion to maintain your balance in all sorts of activities. So as you're lowering, your body weight, your center of gravity is shifting a little bit. So you do have to make adjustments for that in order to not fall. The Bosu ball just kind of enhances those potential kind of loss of balance. So it does force you to kind of be more in tune with making those fine adjustments to keep your center of mass over your feet as you go down and come back up. Also, you can see the balls moving just a little bit. You do have to, that is kind of working the kind of little fine adjuster muscles in your ankles as well as you go down. So down and back up. And again, your goal is that you're not just tipped to one side, which might indicate that you have a tendency to compensate with your stronger leg. And then that is it for this video. I hope you guys found these variations helpful, and now you'll kind of know which ones might be the most beneficial to incorporate into your leg strengthening program. Don't forget, there is a PDF handout that goes along with this video. If you want access to that, you do have to be a bronze member. To learn more about our bronze membership and to sign up, visit rehab-hq.com. If you like this video and you want to see more free videos like this and you haven't yet subscribed, definitely hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell so that you will get notified every time I upload new videos. If you want to get exercises throughout the week, head on over to Instagram where I post 1 to 2 videos every single week, not found here on YouTube, just to kind of keep a little variety in your home exercise routine. If you wanted to go a little bit deeper, I strongly recommend that you join our Gold monthly membership program. With that program, you'll get access to an entire vault of exercises that I give to my patients that I see in person, as well as access to our monthly lives where you can submit questions in advance and I answer those questions live once a month. And as well, there's always a little bit of time at the end of those lives for us to interact a little bit where I can answer some of your questions if you don't get them submitted in advance, as well as you will have access to our Discord channel where you can interact with other members and me throughout the week. So if you want to learn more about our Gold monthly membership program, you can also visit Rehab-HQ. I think it will really take your home program to the next level. But that is it for this video. I hope you guys found this video helpful. I enjoyed spending time with you, and I will see you all in the next video.